everybody, my name is Cody. Thank you so much for clicking on my video today. I am going to be talking today about ADHD in girls and how it can present differently, and I'm going to be talking about how girls with ADHD may be missed, because ADHD isn't just being hyperactive and being full of beans. There's a lot more to it than that. We're also going to cover the two different types of ADHD. There's technically three. There is hyperactive, inattentive and combined. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel, join the community, and if you do subscribe then hit the little bell and you will be notified when I publish a new video. And yeah, let's just get started. Quick disclaimer before we start: if my pupils look like demon pupils, I apologise. I've been to the opticians today and they had to dilate my pupils because I had a bit of an issue and they had to have a good look in my eyes. So yeah, first of all, we're going to be covering the three different types of ADHD. So first, you've got the most commonly known type of ADHD, which is hyperactive ADHD. And the ways this manifests is in a classroom, a child might be fidgety, they might not be able to stay still, they might be making noises in class, and they might be just being the class clown, they might be genuinely just being really disruptive in your eyes. You might not think there's anything going on, but it could well be ADHD. They might not be able to concentrate on their work and all that. But just bear in mind, all of these types of ADHD come with their own mental struggles as well. Inattentive ADHD is something that is very much different from hyperactive, as in it is more internal in my understanding. You can have inattentive ADHD and you can literally not be diagnosed for years, even with hyperactive ADHD, but typically with inattentive, in my experience, you can think it's something different and it can come across like it's something else. And then you've got combined, which is a basic combination of the two. So it's a combination of combined is a combination of hyperactive ADHD and you're inattentive. So that's basically where you have both. And on your diagnosis outcome, if you've been diagnosed with ADHD, then it'll tell you what type of ADHD you have. So yeah, I'm going to talk through my own personal experiences and ways that ADHD can manifest for girls specifically, because it can be missed. So I do have a sneaky suspicion that I have ADHD, and I think I'm combined, because with inattentive, one of the main things with it that I hear and I can definitely relate to is that you can be away in fairyland. Someone can be talking to you and it can appear very maladaptive. It can appear like you're not listening. It can appear like you're even ignoring people at times, but you literally are just thinking your own thoughts, and your thoughts are going really fast, and you are just so absorbed in your thoughts that someone can be talking to you and you wouldn't even realise it because you're so absorbed in it. And another type is that, another scenario is that you might not even be able to concentrate on what you're doing because your thoughts are that disruptive to what you're trying to do. And another really common thing is inattention, which is again not paying attention, but also procrastination, which is not being able to start a task or saying I'll do it tomorrow but never actually getting round to it. But because of the lack of dopamine that is released in an ADHD brain, people can really struggle to get tasks started. So for instance, I might say I'm going to do the washing up, but ADHD brains thrive on the reward of a task. What is this task going to get me? So the washing up is quite a boring task, and an ADHD brain thrives on excited tasks. So you will struggle to do like tasks that you don't find particularly interesting, because you won't get much dopamine, you won't get much reward from doing that task itself. So I think I'm very inattentive at times. I think my mind does move very fast. I've had people comment on my videos saying that I talk very fast. I think ADHD can be missed in girls because if girls have autism, then ADHD can be very interlinked, and it can be assumed that a girl's ADHD is a lot to do with their autism or anxiety that is linked to being autistic only. And I think again with hyperactive ADHD it's easy to spot because at school you can be hyper, you can be a class clown, you can be really disruptive, but with inattentive it can be clocked off as, oh, you're being lazy, we need to get your mum in because you're just a dilly daydream and you're not listening to anything I'm saying. But then with combined, it's really hard as well because their thoughts might be moving at a million, trillion, gazillion miles an hour, and they might really want to listen to you, but their mind just can't focus on that one thing because it's either not interesting enough for their brain or there's something else that is distracting them, because people with ADHD, in my experience, have excessive worry. And I think also because girls socially put on a certain mask as well. I think even with neurotypical girls, there's more social constructs, unseen social rules and boundaries that aren't written down for a girl when she's going into a social situation. With neurotypicals, that it's easier for them to pick up on that and to adhere to them. But if a girl's autistic, she can look at a situation, or even with ADHD, because it's not just with autism that you can mask ADHD, you can look at a social situation and you can create a script in your head and copy it every single time you go into a social situation. Because people tell me, Cody, you are so confident. I don't know why people think you're autistic because you're so confident. But that is often a mask, and people can mask how confident they are. They can even suppress stimming behaviours, which can then lead to burnout if done too often. And even masking too often can lead to burnout, which can be the mental health issues you see in teenage years, that like what happened to me. Because if you've got a kid with ADHD or autism, let's just say they're a girl, because that's who we're covering, and she's been socialising with her friends and she wants to be in a friendship group, but she's not really being her true authentic self because she wants to fit in, then she's going to be trying to adhere to the social principles of that group, and eventually it's just going to break down. Usually it's around the age of 14 to 15 when hormones are really raging and social constructs are getting a bit more advanced and unwritten, and boys make up film stars and gossip type thing, and they might be interested in things that are unconventional / quirky / different, and their friends might wonder what's happened to you, and they might go into themselves and get burnt out. And that is what leads to anxiety and depression. If someone has autism or ADHD on their own, yes, it does come with anxiety, depression, paranoia, sometimes alexithymia, which is an inability to name or articulate your emotions, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, and paranoia. So there's a lot of things that autism and ADHD can come with, but having to mask in school all the time will exacerbate someone's anxiety and their low mood, because they'll feel so different, especially if they don't know they've got autism or ADHD, if they have no idea like me and they think they're just weird. I think it's really, really beneficial for us all to be on the lookout for that in teenage girls. And I'm not saying every single teenage girl that socially withdraws is autistic or ADHD. No way. I'm not saying that, but I think we should have it on our minds that it can happen, and it does happen, and we're not too aware of it at the moment. We're a lot better than we were, but it's not something that's widely discussed as much as I'd like. And ADHD in girls is very much linked to autism, even in boys as well. So if someone's diagnosed with ADHD, their autism can get missed, and if someone's diagnosed with autism or ADHD can get missed. Or like what happened to me, and I've got a member of my family that I am supporting at the moment who has a very multifaceted spiky profile, and they have very obvious ADHD, which has only just been picked up on by myself and their doctors, but their autism has not been picked up on because autism is being mistaken for agoraphobia, which is again so common, and I blame that on the lack of training that GPs and mental health nurses get, because I've spoken to a mental health nurse online and she says only the LD nurses in university seem to get the autism training. Now I got nothing, I just got really basic classes, and it's scary because I've got a level 2 in autism, but I've probably received more training than they have. It's really scary. So how can we pick these girls up and these undiagnosed people up if the staff that they are going to see have nearly zero awareness of autism or ADHD or neurodiversity? It's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm going to do a whole new video on pathological demand avoidance because that's something that comes with ADHD a lot. But that can present in a way that can make people look naughty as well, because they can seem very defiant. It's something that I have myself and didn't even think that I had. So yeah, I had a very, very misunderstood definition of pathological demand avoidance in my head a few years ago, and I did for ADHD as well. I'm not going to deny it, but as I've learnt more about it, I have thought, I think I am very much ADHD. I start tasks if I'm going to get a reward out of them, and then I get obsessed with the task in hand, such as my weight loss journey, because when I step on the scale and I lose weight, it's a massive rush of dopamine, and that's why people with ADHD risk take the way they do, because their brain's trying to get dopamine. So yeah, I hope you learned something from this video. If you want me to do a video on any other topic, then literally just stick it in the comments. Questions, queries, whatever you want, and I really hope you have a nice day. From Cody, keep sparkling.